Well, originally I am from Turin, but my family comes from the center of Italy, Bologna, Ferrara. My link with Ireland is quite bizarre because I think I've been kidnapped by the charm of that country a few years ago. I used to live in Paris before and I was traveling, and I ended up in Ireland the first time in '97, and I was completely fascinated by the people and their culture and their way. They have such a way of, they are so capable in enjoying life that I say, okay, this is my place. And say, okay, I think there is a sort of soul citizenship, and I felt that I belonged to that kind of citizenship of the soul, whose base is enjoying life in a positive way. What I love of Irish people, well, I live in Derry, but there are so many similarities, is that they don't take themselves too seriously. I give you an example. I write, besides being the film director, I write poems for my own pleasure. But when I arrived in Ireland, I wasn't a director yet. I wasn't making films yet. And the usual reaction in Italy, when I used to say, well, I write poems, was, have you published anything? The first reaction in Ireland was, can I read anything of yours? Two complete different reactions. So that was the main reason. I was completely fascinated by this place. That's why I'm still living there. Although it's a country that changed a lot and very rapidly in the last 10 years. But still, they are still crazy enough to keep me there, yes. Well, I'm a kind of unofficial gypsy person because I've been living in lots of places. I used to live in Paris before, then I went back to Italy before going to Ireland. So I've been traveling quite a lot after my degree in Italy. Well, I usually say that I am a film director by mistake, because I wanted to do something else in life, but it happened that I started to do this job and I loved it. It happened that I was making a short film as a joke more than seriously, and in Derry. And the short film was based on was shot entirely in the central library of Derry. Because I used to go there nearly every day. And I realized that there were a sort of some characters that they kind of used to live in the library. There was one homeless man who used to go there every day because the library was warm, and the librarian started to look after him. They used to bring him a coffee, a chat, bring him a book. And then later on I discovered there was also an old lady that used to be adopted by the librarian. They used to also to do the haircut. She used to come, sit there, and the librarian used to do the haircut to her. So from that one I say, well, I would love to do a portrait of this little hidden world. And I made a film called The House of Phrases. And that film, surprisingly, without any expectation, was selected in the festival in Derry, the Foil Film Festival. And it also won the best short film online. And to me it was something completely unexpected and incredible, you know. I made a film as a joke, basically. And then once I won the top prize, I was told that, you know that if you win an award in an international film festival, it's easy to get money to do another film. And you say, oh, really? That sounds really good. And that's how I started. And then I made another film, and then that led me to to do a feature film, a feature documentary that is part of the Irish Film Festival here in Rome. That's the reason why I'm here. The second film has again a link with an elderly person. I have a gigantic passion for elderly people. I think most of them teach us that it takes a long time to become young, and I like to take lessons from them most of the time. And the second film is called Lies and Waves, and it's a story of an old man who in all his life has never seen the sea, the ocean. And on parallel, it's the story of a wee boy who in the whole his life, in his little life, has said anything but lies. And in the film, this old man who has never seen the sea and this little liar meet, and by chance on a bus, and they decide to run away and to discover a kind of truth for the boy and the ocean for the boy. But I don't want to tell the whole plot in case you want to see it. So, Paradiso is the last film I did. It's a feature documentary, and the origin of the film was again a mistake. I think in life sometimes there are beautiful mistakes, and this is the case. The film is about a little hidden Protestant ghetto, which is exactly in the city center of Derry, which is completely surrounded by a security fence that was built up during the Civil War. They call it the Troubles. Strange name. They call it Troubles. Sounds very minimal, while it was a real war. And by mistake, I ended up in this neighborhood, in this open-air prison, because I was taking this pedestrian gate, which is actually a tunnel, thinking that it was a shortcut leading me somewhere else. But in fact, there was no way out. I had to come back from the way in which I entered. And I realized that I had just entered this open-air prison. And from that moment, I decided to do a research, to understand why people can decide to live behind a fence, completely separated by the others. And I started to knock doors and to meet people, and I met these two wonderful old ladies that are the main characters of Paradiso, who are around, one is 85 and the other one is 82, which I believe they are both far younger than me, because they are immensely full of life and in a contagious way as well. And so I started to make a film and to work on this research. And then I met the Irish producer Margot Harkin, and I had the privilege to work with her, which beside being a fantastic, probably one of the greatest producers in Ireland, is also a little bit crazy, because she decided to work with me on this project. And then we got commissioned by the BBC, who liked the idea. And that's how it started. And then the film is traveling a lot, and the two old ladies as well. So. They saw it when it was on BBC One, and I was told they were looking at the film like that, because they were a little bit... No, actually, they were given a DVD before, but my producer Margot told me, but don't tell anybody, because legally nobody can see the film until it's broadcasted. So they watched the film, and and then when they were asked by their sons and daughters, but have you already seen the film? Say, they were live. No, sure not. fabulous, wonderful liars. And then there was the film. They were a little bit shy, but now they are two little stars. Everybody knows. People stop them on the streets because the whole town watched the film when it was on TV. So, and the people went to the pubs were broadcasting the film as well. The little pubs in the city center. I didn't know that. I was told. So that's the origin. The origin of the film was a mistake. Yes, the film Paradiso is a musical journey, and as I said, it's the story of this little open-air prison, and as any other prison has got different types of prisoners, and in this case there are also the prisoners who never realized they were living behind a fence, because their only passion all through over the troubles was the passion for tango, and they completely forgot that there was a war. Their only passion was to go to the dances. So their passion for the music was a kind of antidote to this terrible thing that is, the result of any war, which is fear, the fear of the other, the fear of the crisis, like here in Rome, or the fear of the credit crunch. And so it's also, besides being a film about a ghetto, and it's also a tribute to a world that is disappearing, which is the world of the dance halls, because and that is my personal link with this subject, because I actually grew up in a place in Italy that used to be a little cinema during the week, but it used to turn into a dance hall during the weekend, and it was my grandfather was the manager of this little dance hall. So I grew up in this magical world, and that's why the film is also a tribute to all this. Well, my memory as a child growing up in a cinema which was half cinema and half dance hall are astonishing, because I was really kept in this continuous magical world. During the week I was eating bread and films, and during the weekend I was in this magical world full of perfumes and women and beautiful dresses. So it's my grandfather's fault if I go to bed very late in my life now, because I grew up in that world. And so that's the environment in which I grew up, in which I was observing a lot, all these little details, and it was a kind of show. To go to the dances, you used to dress up very, very much. It's like going to a theater now, but it was more dancing in those days. It was vital that you had to be a good dancer. Most of the people, like the two ladies in the film, didn't look at the faces, they were looking at the feet. So they were looking at the feet on the floor of the dance hall, saying, "Oh, I like those pair of feet there, I want to dance with that man." And then maybe they were dancing, they realized he was ugly. That's one of the anecdotes that I was told. So this is my personal attachment to the world of films on one side and the dance halls on another. So, and I love to dance.
Yes.
Yes. Well, my mother wouldn't say I'm a good dancer, but I think I'm not that bad. No, I can waltz, and I can tango too. Coming to this, I don't have the perfect CV to become a director. Actually, I did the weirdest jobs before becoming a director by chance. I used to work before as a school janitor, which is a fantastic experience, because it gave me the possibility to observe how we adults are completely incapable to listen to kids and to the youth, so to speak. And then I worked one of the other I really have a weird CV. Are you sure you want me to list it? And then I worked for an unknown circus, and my job was to go to primary schools, dress up as a clown, and my job was trying to persuade the director of the school to bring the kids to the circus. But my drama was that nobody knew this bloody circus. And I had to say, oh, hello, and I'm here from the famous Circo Tribertis. And I say, say Tribertis. And I was trying to make it up as it sound like, the famous Tribertis, but nobody knew it. Actually, I was really impressed. I was in Milan yesterday at a screening, and somebody knew the Circo Tribertis. So I was really surprised. I say, do you really know the Circo Tribertis? It was really a fantastic, emotional moment for me. After so many years, I found one who knows that bloody circus. Because I used to be paid for each kid that came to the circus. I was paid 1,000 lira, which is probably 30 cents now at the moment. Well, the circus itself gives you this capability to wander and to enjoy little things that you will never see anywhere else. The way in which they think it's normal, they usually talk to elephants. And I come from a city where human beings don't talk to each other, which is Turin. And as I said before, I ended up in a city, Derry, where people say hello to you, even if they don't know you, which I love it. And in Turin, they don't say hello, even if they do know you. So it's a fantastic jump for me. But each of these strange work that I did, I also worked as an illegal guide in a museum in Paris. But I was told not to say it, because it was illegal, but it was. Because you need a badge to work as a guide nowadays. Still, in those days, you had to have a badge, but I didn't. But they didn't check too much, as they do check now. I worked as a school janitor in primary schools, yes. It's a wonderful job because you don't do that much, and you enjoy reading lots of books, but then you are responsible. And if everything goes wrong, it's because of the school janitor. They didn't do that. And actually, in Italy, there is everywhere I go in a festival, they call you doctor. I was doing the check-in yesterday and saying, Dr. Negrini. Well, actually, I'm not a doctor. I'm an ex-school janitor. It's an obsession here. This is a kind of formality. You say doctor, doesn't matter. Well, doctor in English, it's only if you work in a hospital. But here, if you have a degree, you are automatically called a doctor. A former school janitor, so completely different. People think that I'm joking, but it's true. That's my journey. But beside all the jokes, I really think that all these little experiences that I had doing these strange jobs to pay the university or to survive really helped me a lot in what I'm doing now, because it gave me really the possibility to look at life from a different angle. There is a fantastic painting by Velázquez, which is one of my reference. And in this painting, you see in front of you these maids that are cooking something, and then through this half-open door, you see that the Last Supper with Jesus and Judas. So you see the Last Supper through those that cooked the Last Supper. And that's what I think a documentary maker should do. Narrating history from the kitchen rather than from the dinner table. And but all these little jobs that I had, working for the circus or the school janitor, and delivering yellow pages and other jobs that I loved it. They gave me the possibility to look at life from the kitchen instead of being on the official side of the history, which is usually the only side that you hear. So that's so in a way I feel privileged because I had the possibility to see things from a different angle. But generally I like films with little dialogues. But that's my personal, because I grew up in the cinema. We used to watch also silent movies. I actually saw a fabulous new film now called The Artist, which I strongly recommend. It's a silent film made in 2011. It's always hard to say what defines your films. I usually don't like the distinction between films and documentaries. I think there are good films and bad films. And nowadays they call the documentaries, like Paradiso, they call them creative documentaries, which I don't like neither, because it means that there are non-creative documentaries, which is not true, because every time you film there is the eye of the one who is filming behind. It's never neutral. Doesn't matter how close to reality you are still looking at reality. There is still the lenses of your eyes. I like my personal approach. If you want to know how I try to make films, my personal approach is try to listen to what is fascinating me, and I try to let the film speak into me. There was a fantastic anecdote that I was told by my mentor, who is David Wingate, who is a fantastic script writer. And he told me this anecdote about Michelangelo, and he was once in his studio with his apprentice, and he had this huge block of marble, and he started to look around the marble, leaning down with his ear, and the apprentice didn't dare to ask, he didn't want to make a stupid question, but then he ended up asking, but Maestro, can I ask you, but why are you walking around for hours around this block of marble? And Michelangelo said, well, I'm listening. And the apprentice said, what do you mean you're listening? And Michelangelo said, I'm listening to the statue within the block. And I think when you make documentaries or films, it's exactly the same. You have this fantastic material that you have just discovered, meeting people or a ghetto, like in this case, or a dance hall. And then you listen. You have this block of life, and then you listen to the shape that it's living beneath or inside, in this case. That's how I usually work. I discover something, and then I go, I drink with people, and I listen to them. And then the story comes into me, and the block becomes in a shape which is close to my feelings or my... I also need to be emotionally attached to what I film. I don't discover people because I want to film them. I like to discover them because they exist, and the fact that they exist and I was lucky to meet them makes me willing to have a portrait of them. Being a school janitor in a school, I also learned how not to answer and go around. So I still have a poem that I was given by this little kid called L'Aquila, the hawk. And I found it last year. It was for a poem written by a kid is all the time very incredible because you realize how creative we can be at that age, and then you realize how that creativity can be wasted 20 years after. And it was something like, it was a wee kid, and the poem was like that. I am little, but I can see as high as a hawk. And I found it was a very short poem, written by an 8, 9 years old kid. And he gave it to me, because they knew that I was writing poems in that time as well. So little memories like that can be, for instance, the beginning of a film. You know, you start thinking about, in this case, how we treat youth. You know, and we don't listen to anybody. We don't listen to kids. We don't listen to elderly. We are also obsessed about our own ego, or obsessed about the crisis, as in Italy. You only talk about the crisis, nothing else. Well, Ireland was heavily affected by the crisis, but again, that's why I still live there, because despite having been heavily affected, they are still able to enjoy life in a way. Sometimes there is also a cultural clash. For instance, when there is something sad happening, they have a wake, and which is, I think, it's a fantastic thing. Instead of crying, and they celebrate the life of the person that passed away, having a party. And each person tells a story, and I think it's a fantastic thing. We don't do that in Italy. I think we should. But coming from Italy, for me, it was difficult to accept it at the beginning. But then I said, well, this is amazing, you know. That's the way we should celebrate somebody we love who passed away, celebrating who he was instead of doing something tremendously sad. You know. But this is Ireland. It's a mix of, you know, Christianity and paganism, and that's what makes their charm. They are this continuous mix of everything. And then they have also a fantastic beer. So Ireland is an island surrounded by the Guinness. And I like to swim in that sea. Yeah, I can be a good sailor in the Sea of Guinness. Yes. Yeah. No, ma Paradiso, which is really a little film, although it's commissioned by BBC, but it's a little independent production, has got an incredible journey, because which we didn't expect. Because so far it has been shown in 40 festivals around the world, from Mexico to London to Rome, South Africa. It seems to be, we were told it's incredible, don't know why, but it's incredibly popular in India. So it seems they have a passion for elderly dancers in India. And so far Paradiso has won 15 international awards all over the world, which we're really proud, because we didn't expect it, to be honest, you know. We liked the film. We knew we did something who was a nice tribute to these people, but you usually don't make a film thinking about the awards. You make a film trying to serve the story to the maximum level, and then you see. But then we got the first award, which was the one I remember the most. In Hungary, I said, no, I cannot believe it. We got, I phoned, or my producer, Margot, phoned me and said, Alessandro, we got an international award. I say, no. I remember, and then I was a guest of the festival in Hungary, and I was jumping on my own in my room in the hotel with the trophy, because I couldn't believe it. And then from that moment we started to win the other prizes. One of the last one was, which I'm really proud, is we got the Best Documentary Award, but the Audience Award in Milan, and the Audience Award was made by students. And to me I was really proud, because having a jury made by students, young people, giving the award to a film with old people. You know, usually you don't associate, we think that generations are separated by. So I really like the idea that Paradiso became a kind of bridge between generations. And and then, well, it was broadcasted on BBC when it was finished, and then we got the first award, and then that's how it started. So yes, I'm very, very pleased, but it was very unexpected. I didn't expect it, to be honest. So it's a nice surprise. So And everything started because I got lost in this neighborhood. So don't get lost too much if you don't want to become a film director. That would be my advice.